maybe all hope for this New York Mets offseason isn't lost. We have a report today linking the Mets and Blake Snell having conversations. Are they working towards a deal? We're going to talk in this video about the situation with Blake Snell, the money, turning down deals, why the Mets need to do it. We're going to get into all of that. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe while you are here. Let's get into the details. So here is the report. Comes from Mike Rodriguez. Red Sox and Mets have been in contact since yesterday with Blake Snell. Lefty is seeking a contract close to $200 million. Now you may be saying, Jim, why are we focusing on the Mets here? Why not the Red Sox? Well, I think Robbie Hyde put it best. My guess is the Red Sox are just kicking the tires here. It's hard to imagine they commit to a big money deal for Snell unless it's maybe a short-term deal. The Red Sox have lost out on numerous free agents this offseason that they're not willing to go to the spend that player is asking for. Somebody else has jumped them. So this kind of feels like it may be the same situation. Now, maybe the Red Sox are being used as leverage here because, remember, there was a Yankee offer that was put on the table that Blake Snell rejected, a 5-year, $150 million deal from the Yankees. So are the Red Sox being inserted as leverage? Or is that something the Red Sox are actually doing? I mean, it makes sense. The Red Sox need an ace. Lucas Giolito as your SP1 doesn't work, but that's where they're at right now. But again, we're focusing on the Mets here. This is a move that they need to make, and I'm going to talk to you about why. Mets fans, you already know why. Kodai Senga at the top. Okay, if you want to put Kodai Senga at the top of the rotation, the number one, the number two, you can sell me on that. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I really do. I believe Kodai Senga is the top of the rotation arm. But after that, to compete, this rotation doesn't get it done. Severino needs to be the 5. You have Severino and Hauser. They're both 5s. Minaya and Quintana, at the most, they are 3s. Even though, and you're going to tell me, well, Minaya had a good second half. He went to driveline, all that. Yeah, that's great. But also his K rate went down, which means the swing and miss rate went down. How's he going to do pitching to contact in the National League East? I don't know if he's going to do that well. So you've got a bunch of 4s and 5s here. Where's the 3? Where's the 2? They don't have one. You add Blake Snell into the mix, and now all of a sudden things start to come together a little bit. You pair Snell, Wes Senga, Quintana slides down, Severino, Minaya, Hauser still competing for a rotation spot. You have McGill still there. He'll be competing for a rotation spot. But now you're starting to pull together a rotation that has 2 top of the rotation guys, not just 1, 2. If you want to compete in baseball in 2024, you can't just roll out there Kodai Senga and then a bunch of 4s and 5s. It doesn't work. And now I think one of the counter arguments is that, well, wait a minute, Jim, the Mets are not spending like they did last year. They're not trying to compete in the same way, maybe, but I would argue that, no, they do need to compete in the same way. They need to figure out a way to compete in the same way because, well, look, let's do this. Let's run this exercise first. So, Mets fans, look at the standings from last year. In 2024, book it. Braves, Phillies, Dodgers, Diamondbacks. There's 4 of the 6 playoff spots. So we have one more wild card. We have a central winner. So now there's 1 spot left. You know, the Brewers, the Cubs, the Reds, they'll be there. The Cardinals, they're going to bounce back. The Giants, even though this offseason has been underwhelming, they still want to compete. The Padres, they still want to compete. The Miami Marlins, I don't know what they're going to be, but as far as their window to compete goes, 2024 may be it. So maybe they get a little bit more aggressive as they try to earn another trip to the wild card. So look, the Mets can't just sit this thing out and let 2024 be, because you're wasting you're wasting maybe the last Pete Alonso year. You're wasting a year with Lindor. You're wasting a year with Kodai Senga. Remember, Kodai Senga can opt out. You have these players. You just want to waste a year of their talent? You can't do that. You absolutely cannot do that. And mentioning Pete Alonso, here's the situation. If you, and I keep saying this, I'm not saying, let me get my thought process, try to line up here, because I got a lot to say about this. I believe, let me put this out there first, that the New York Mets should not trade Pete Alonso, that they should extend Pete Alonso. Now that that's out there, if the Mets are not going to compete, then they have to do one of two things. If they're not going to compete, and if they put together a rotation that is the first we saw, that was just Senga, Quintana, Manaea, Severino, and Hauser, that's telling the baseball world, this might not be a year for us. If that's going to be the approach, you have to do one of two things. You have to sign and extend Pete Alonso, because you're telling us with that rotation that the focus is on beyond it's 2025 and beyond. Well, if that's the case, Pete Alonso needs to get an extension. And if he does not get an extension, then you have to trade him. If you don't, you are being a bad general manager. You are failing. If you don't do one of those two things, if you're not going to compete. Now, if they sign Blake Snell, if they sign Jorge Soler, if they start signing players and they show us that they are, yes, indeed going to compete in 2024, then Pete Alonso's contract, in my opinion, whether he is extended or not, does not matter. Because if you are going to compete, you're keeping Pete Alonso, whether he is on a final year of his contract, final year of arbitration, or he's locked in for a long term. Alex Bregman, that's the situation in Houston. He's heading into his final year, but you can't trade him. You're trying to win. Eventually, you see this happen at Washington. It happened year after year with Harper and then with Rendon. You get to the final year with those guys, you can't trade them because you're trying to compete. Aaron Judge, you had to you go into that final year with him because you were in World Series mode. I bring up Aaron Judge because I think that's a lot of the correlation here between the Mets and the Yankees is you can say, well, look what the Yankees did. They didn't trade Judge. Well, of course they didn't trade Judge. They were trying to win. Every year they're trying to win. So it was never even a conversation. But with Pete Alonso, it's different because it doesn't seem like, unless the Snell deal comes through, that the Mets are trying to compete in 2024. You bring in Blake Snell, you're telling us you're trying to compete, so then whatever happens with Pete Alonso, it is what it is, whether you extend him or not. But that's where this also falls in. Go get Blake Snell. That's the bottom line here. Go get Blake Snell. Get the deal done. Improve your rotation. Take it to a level where you can compete in the National League East. This is only one move, by the way. One of two moves that needs to happen. Yeah, get Snell, but then also you've been linked to Soler lately. Get a package deal done. Get them both in there. Improve your rotation and improve the pop. Remember last year, that was one of the issues? At the trade deadline, you were looking for, okay, we need a power bat. Where are we going to get one? Well, at this moment, the roster you're going to throw out there for 2024 is eerily similar to last year. You need to add some pop as well, so go get them both. Mets fans, what do you want to see happen? Comment down below. And if you're not a Mets fan, if you are an outsider, if you are a National League East fan, what do you think is going to happen? If you are a innocent bystander, an AL East fan, an AL West fan, what do you think is going to happen? Where do you think Blake Snell's going? Will he go to the Mets? Will he go to the Red Sox? Will he end up somewhere else? Is this all leverage to get him to be a Yankee? Comment down below and let us know your thoughts. That's it for this one, everybody. Thank you for coming in. Ballcap Nation, I salute you. As always, if it's low, let it go. And if it's high, let it fly.